She's been a world traveler all her life, multilingual, a girl from Iowa who made her way to Africa, where she married and raised her kids at a time Kenya was a hub of political evolution and cultural creativity. It's there Kathy Eldon says she found her calling, a journalist activist who wrote for the city's largest paper, but also penned countless books on Africa. And then tragedy struck. Her son Dan, a 22-year-old Reuters photojournalist whose gripping photos of famine in Somalia showed the world what was happening. He was stoned to death on assignment. His death would change his mom's life forever and that of his sister Amy. But both would band together to turn pain into purpose and keep Dan's legacy alive. His colorful and comprehensive journals, returned after his death, would serve as blueprints for a foundation in his name that today empowers journalists and storytellers all over the world. The dynamic Kathy Eldon and her daughter Amy, they are today's LA Story. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a really cool edition of LA Stories. I'm Giselle Fernandez, and we're coming to you from beautiful Malibu at the Dan Eldon Center for Creative Activism, and we're here with his proud mom who carries on his mission and his legacy and the work that you do here and around the world. Wonderful to see you and sit with you.
I'm honored, thank you. Long awaited. I've always wanted to meet you.
Oh, and meet you for the incredible work you've done. You've inspired so many journalists and storytellers throughout the years. And you've said that you've been able to do all of this with your incredible daughter, Amy, because you had access to some otherworldly help.
Yeah, I do believe that, Giselle. I'm a walking example of the amazing things that can happen, and I do not take credit for them at all.
Yeah, you talk about your noisy spirits led by your son, Dan. It's been 32 years since his brutal passing. Can you believe it? 32
Nope.
years, yeah.
I prefer not to count, actually.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I understand you said that you don't often hear his voice, but during the LA fires that ravaged this area, you heard his voice and you said it saved you and the center.
Oh boy, it was so clear. A clear voice in my head that said, "Don't worry, Mom, everything's gonna be all right."
And thank goodness, because it's in this center, in your son's name and honor, that you house those journals, those beautiful, comprehensive journals of his work. They were saved here. They gave you a window into his legacy, didn't they, and what you wanted to create?
1,000%. He reflected it all in a series of about 20 journals that we found after he was murdered by a mob in Somalia. Here we have some of the original journals. We've turned it into 4 books, 3 documentaries, and a feature film.
Never goodbye. Goodbye until I see you again.
Including this original book, The Journey is the Destination. And he wrote his mission statement for safari as a way of life, to explore the unknown and the familiar, distant and near, and to record in detail with the eyes of a child any beauty, of the flesh or otherwise, horror, irony, traces of utopia or hell. There is little difference between exploring and being lost. Think about that. When Dan was 19 years old, he led a group of 15 kids on an aid mission across 4 countries in Africa.
We wanted to bring them something like a water pump or blankets.
And they did bring aid to the refugee camp, built 2 wells, and provided blankets and first aid for a number of children. So I'm very proud of him.
So let's go back a bit before we even get to what happened to Dan, because your life story is extraordinary. From Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Well done, you got it right.
A Wellesley grad, one of 4 kids. And as a teen, you go to Africa, you fall in love. It seems like you didn't leave. And you've said that Africa taught you everything you needed to know about life.
It was in Africa that I learned to, I would say, listen inside, to tap into something might be ancestral, ineffable, to be brave, to stretch myself, to understand that what I'd been brought up to understand was not necessarily everything that I believed as a grown-up.
Yeah, and you said it's there you had your awakening and found your calling to be a storyteller and an activist. and to use your creative writing to impact change. You wrote for the biggest paper there. You've written, what, 18 books?
They're very little, most of them, teeny little books.
On culture, on lifestyle, on places to eat, on the culinary delights. But you were in Africa during a time of its kind of emerging independence, and your son grew up infused with your passion as a writer, a storyteller, a journalist, and followed in your footsteps. What do you think you inspired in him?
I was in the Journalist Center in Nairobi, and Dan was very exposed to that crowd of intrepid, brave, really wanting to show the world what was going on and hoping that the world was paying attention. And in 1992, he was told about a possible famine in Somalia. And he and a young friend from Reuters went in to see whether there was a famine.
He took some of the first pictures to show the world what was happening. They're gripping the children, the emaciated kids. What drove him?
He realized that storytelling could mobilize people. It could inform them, it could inspire them, and it could empower them to go after positive change.
I was actually in Mogadishu during that time when your son was there, working very difficult with the tribal factions, the man-made famine, and the political violence. Knowing Africa as well as you did, were you worried about your son's safety?
I was not worried initially. I was not worried because no journalist had died. And he said, "Mom, don't ask me to leave. The story isn't over." And I said, "Okay, Dan, I'm so proud of you. You're living the life of your choice. I am so proud of you." That was the last time that we talked. We both said, "I love you so much." If I hadn't had that conversation, I don't know where I'd be at this time.
Because soon after that, Dan and some colleagues were responding to a helicopter attack, and many Somalis were killed, and they went to see the aftermath of that, and the mob turned on them, carrying stones and guns, and they were all murdered. When you heard that news, I mean, it's a mother's most terrifying nightmare. How did you process that?
I mean, of course, what do you do? You're incredulous. You can't really even process it or fathom it. And I had to call Amy.
And they were very close.
They joined at the hip, 4 years younger, so close. I said, "Amy, this is the call I never wanted to make." I remember just the horror of her scream. Our entire lives had been destroyed. And you think about all the people around the planet right now, in Gaza, in Ukraine, in Israel, in South Sudan, where their lives are being utterly destroyed. Not individuals, but entire cultures.
Your life was obviously shattered. You left Africa, you went to London, you got divorced, and you had a life-threatening illness.
Yes.
You had a near-death experience, and in that near-death experience, you had a vision to create a vision.
Yes. I had a blood a condition, and probably caused by stress and grief. And I woke up early in the morning with a vivid vision of what I was supposed to do. To create an organization called Creative Visions. There was even the logo, which was the I Ching, the power of the creative as a transformational force. To use the power of media to help people achieve their potential, both for themselves and the planet, using storytelling to create social impact. We started making impactful films, work with hundreds and hundreds of projects and productions of people who want to do wonderful things. They want to tell stories about important issues, to mobilize people to get off their backsides and do something.
Creative Visions does work to shore up trusted journalism. How do you see your role now even more amplified and necessary than before?
Nothing is more important than getting at the truth of what is really happening. It is deeply alarming to see what is being distorted, what is being conveyed in ways that are so manipulative and so utterly untrue. So we all have to, I think, hold people accountable, speak out to the major news networks.
In what ways do you shore up and fill in the gaps of what they need?
We nurture people, incubate projects that focus on social, humanitarian, environmental issues, both locally and globally, that need to be shared. We first, most importantly, provide fiscal sponsorship, and that means they get a nonprofit status for their project. by coming under our Creative Visions umbrella.
And you obviously are driven by the notion that media and storytelling actually can drive change.
Since time began,
Eternal.
when I started back in the 80s, there was a lot of talk about consciousness shifting to survive what was lying ahead for us. We now need to shift consciousness towards the fact that we are one. We're just one. We're all the same. We cannot get through this without understanding that whatever we do to the least of us, we do to ourselves. So that's what drives me right now, is how do we get that message across quickly enough to save our children and our children's children.
And you've done this alongside your partner in crime, your daughter Amy, and when we come right back, we're going to dive into some of the projects, the films, the extraordinary impact you've made all over the world when LA Stories comes right back. Welcome back to LA Stories, everyone. We're here with the incredible Cathy Eldon, author, mother of Dan Eldon, and founder of Creative Visions. It was 1998, you and your daughter Amy launched Creative Visions. Talk to me about what you're most proud of and some of the projects that you've really seen Creative Visions make a huge impact.
Wow, oh my goodness. I'm really proud of Navalny, a beautiful film that won the Oscar. I'm very proud of the fact that we were part of that amplification of that story.
I was totally sure that it will be problematic for them to kill me.
And boy, were you wrong.
Yes, I was very wrong.
Cathy, right now, obviously, we live in very complex political times, political violence on the rise, anti-Semitism, racism, real polarization in this country, and trust in news media, at the lowest point ever. Does this create more urgency for you?
Absolutely. I am driven by the belief that if we get off our backsides, find things to rally around that bring us together. The easiest way to bring people together is to talk about your children and the future of kids.
You're looking for a shared and common story.
Exactly.
And you've done that through some of the films that you have produced, award-winning films. One was, of course, inspired by the journals of your son, The Journey is the Destination.
Thank you. It was such a labor of love. Right now, hundreds of journalists have been killed in Gaza. Several hundred journalists have been killed in Ukraine. And we, I think, owe it to them to respond and to do what we can to make things better.
Right. Let's bring in your daughter, Amy. Come on in, Amy. Your mom talked about when you heard the news 32 years ago and you got that phone call. How did Dan's death literally shape the course of your life?
Well, I mean, initially it sort of devastated my life. I left college. I just couldn't relate to what was going on. Then I think looking back, it really pulled into sharper focus what was important in the world. After Dan died, he was, a war correspondent. I shifted and became a peace correspondent, telling stories about what brings us together, not tears us apart, and then have spent the rest of my life, in that space.
And now they're this incredible mother-daughter team, and you've done some beautiful work in your own right. You did Dying to Tell the Story, which really focused on the motivation of journalists who risk their lives to bring the world their stories.
I was telling stories about people like you. You were in Somalia. These extraordinary people who risk their lives to bring us the news, and then we don't always pay attention to the news.
And it's getting so much more dangerous, and not just in faraway places, but here in the United States, for journalists to speak truth to power. How does that impact your work and what you're doing here?
We're all so siloed, and we are just in these echo chambers, and so we're not hearing different perspectives, and that really troubles me. And so we are not having a conversation, and the other sad thing is the lack of civil discourse. Hopefully we can be training the next generation how to tell stories that, again, bring us together, not tear us apart.
I understand the Bezos Foundation gave you a grant, actually, to inspire these young people.
The platform is called Students Rebuild, and we work with young peacemakers to help them understand that they have a role to play in changing the world around them, and then using their creative spark to do that.
The future of children, the children of our planet, relies upon our shared humanity. We can't make it work if we're all going our own direction.
You did this extraordinary series on moms with the Oprah Winfrey Network. Talk to me about the importance of putting a spotlight on mother activism.
We believe that mothers are the key to everything. We did a really beautiful film called Extraordinary Moms, and we focused on their intention to try to make the world around them the best world it could be for the sake not only of their own children, but all children.
The kids in the world, I think he would have said, "You may only dance a short time." His dance has been very short indeed, but he would have said, "You choose your dance."
Have you told your children about Dan?
Well, the funny thing is that Dan was always the one who inspired me to be braver, and he ran at life, and I was more sort of shy and judgy. And after he died, these kids now are the ones who push me to be braver. And the other day we were standing on this cliff and they wanted me to jump in the water, and I was like, no, I'm fine, Dan's not here. And it was my Daniel who said, you know, what would Uncle Dan say? Aww. And I just, oh, that's so annoying, because now I have to be brave again for these people.
Yeah, he was a definite emblematic of courage. So where is Creative Visions right now? I mean, you're in 35 countries, you reach 100 million people. You said you're just getting started.
I personally am just getting started. I believe for the soul of our community, for the soul of Los Angeles, we need art, music, dance, drama, film, storytelling to fuel our spirits and our souls to be embracing the possibility of a new Los Angeles, one that we can barely even envision. So we want to be that Renaissance Center. We are that Renaissance Center.
And leading the charge is Kathy Eldon and her daughter,
Noisy Spirits.
Amy, and Noisy Spirits. In fact, her new book of 18 is called Boundless, and it's a roadmap for a limitless future. And it's not just written by Kathy, but by her Noisy Spirits. And it's all about inspiring us all to live our best life, no matter the dark times. And we're going to get into that when LA Stories comes right back. Welcome back to LA Stories, everyone. We're here with the dynamic mother and daughter duo who runs the Dan Eldon Center for Creative Activism and Creative Visions. You've written 18 books, and some of them with your daughter. Your memoir, a journey of global adventure, love, loss, but basically hope, that even in dark times you can transcend and find purpose through pain. What did you want the biggest takeaway from your memoir to be?
Thank you for asking. I see young people who are grappling with this challenging world. I see older people who are lonely and looking for purpose. I just wanted people to believe that they could get through anything. And I say anything. I have been through hard times. I've been through life-threatening illnesses and the loss of a child, divorce, minimal compared to other stories. But I know from the example of others that we can get through things. If I can be an exemplar, a sharer of stories for people to don't give up, hang on, work on it, figure it out, reach out to your noisy spirits, whatever you want to define that, and keep going. You can do this.
And you also have written books about the importance of journaling, that inner life within us. Why so important?
There's a Khalil Gibran quote that says, the deeper you carve out this cavern of pain, the more capacity you have to fill it up with joy. And we really dug out that cavern of pain, and now we're just filling it up with joy. And I think with that journaling process, you can look back and see where you've come from and see how far you've come. But the only reason we are so joyous is because we have been to those depths of sorrow.
What do you think Dan Eldon would think of you both and what you have been able to do here?
I think he'd be really proud of us. I think these invisible strings are helping to guide us as well. We do feel accompanied by him. You heard his voice during the fires. I try and hear his voice. He's very much with us.
Mm-hmm. And what is his main message to you?
Don't be so boring. Don't be so earnest.
Be brave.
Yeah, be brave, have fun. You know, it's just, life is so fleeting and so short. Just enjoy it, you know, stop worrying.
You know, your mom's latest book is called Boundless, and it's a roadmap for a limitless future. In this beautiful writing, you call on Dan to call upon Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and the other greats of our time, the Kennedys and Martin Luther King, to come and be of service to you at this time.
I'm glad you chose that. We're going to have a gathering of a lot of these spirits to really tell you how we're going to save the world. The importance of expression and arts and seeing one another.
Coming from Africa, the birthplace of humanity, you seem to bridge both worlds and that call for the human spirit. What is that call?
It's Ubuntu. I am because we are. That's all we need to think about.
And also the next generation, Gen Z, are rising up. And we saw it in Kenya. We've seen it in Sri Lanka. That's why I have hope, is because this next generation, they're multicultural, they're connected, and they are going to be the ones who change things.
And what would you say to those storytellers and journalists out there now who risk all to tell the truth?
We watch you, we see you, and we are not going to stand by idly. We are going to do something as a result of what you're doing.
Kathy Eldon, Amy, thank you so much for all that you've done with your creative visions and inspiring the creative visions in all of us. The world needs more people like you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for watching another edition of LA Stories. I'm Giselle Fernandez. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you then.